Mrs. Green Apple, we're continuing our track by track listen through to their debut full length album 12. And you know what? I didn't even realize till I just clicked on this that we're already on the penultimate track. Hello is the penultimate track. I didn't even realize that. I think we've been taking our time with this track by track more than a lot of the other ones, and that kind of crept up on me. And now I'm feeling a little bit sad because I kind of got used to the fact that the last couple of weeks we've been slowly going through this album. And, so I'm hoping that the next album, when we do eventually finish on 12, I'm hoping that it gives me as many good surprises because it'll be the self-entitled album next, I think. Which don't worry, we're going to continue our track by track listen throughs. We're going to cover all the Mrs. Green Apple songs. I've decided. I think you knew that was coming. But so I'm going to be kind of sad for this album to end. But Hello, it is the penultimate track, and if you've been following my previous Mrs. Green Apple track by track listen throughs, you'll know that I have a bit of a special interest in penultimate tracks because this is definitely a band who like to write their albums as albums, which makes me especially enjoy listening to, doing these track by track listen throughs because you really feel like the order of the songs is not just random or arbitrary. It's something where actually they've put a lot of thought into structuring the album in the same way you structure your songs. And I think any real creative band does that. I like to think that's something that all bands do, even if people don't so often listen to music as albums anymore. You're still crafting an album, so treat it as such. But the penultimate track is always therefore interesting because the penultimate track, sometimes it leads directly into the last song, sometimes it is a contrast so that the last song can come in and have a totally different impact when it arrives and give you the final crescendo to the album. There's a million and one different ways that the penultimate track can play out, and you never fully know how much you like a penultimate track until you start listening to the last track. But I will say right now, I'm just kind of intrigued to see what we get. This is coming off the back of Hug, which was a song which I remember saying didn't exactly feel like it took the band to anywhere they hadn't been. In fact, it actually felt very much like a core kind of Mrs. Green Apple song, very much by the numbers for them, but it had a lot of beautiful nuances that made it quite an interesting listen, very satisfying listen. But that was a song that definitely fit into a kind of a tone, kind of got you lulled into a certain atmosphere. And as it ends, Hello begins. So let's have a listen. Already layering up the piano. You're gonna like it. Ooh. Love that double snare. Stabbing guitars. もしも昨日に戻れたとしたら僕だけを褒めるでしょう大丈夫ちゃんと見てるからって口にしなきゃわからない君はもう少しばかり He really loves having those stop-start parts in his songs. Nice keyboard sound there. Yeah. Yeah, this is that piano really hits nice there. Really bouncing with the high end. もしも世界を変えれたとしたら僕は居場所を作るでしょう大丈夫ここにいていいよって言ってもらえるでしょう夢はもう少しばかりどうそっと愛さなきゃ夢はもう少し先で大事なことに気づくでしょう That is a really cool chorus. Simon, everyone sing. Paul and answering with the audience on this would be amazing live. I hope they do this song live too. Alright, let's have a bridge, let's have a proper bridge. Okay, changing the time signature. This is very interesting, but you've got to bring it back around. We're going to bring it back around. That's so smooth. Maybe not. Are we ending on a chilled note? We are, okay. I won't make you wait too long. I really enjoyed that. The funny thing is a lot of the things that I really liked about this, I've kind of said about some of my favourite songs on this album. So it definitely feels to me like this album has a lot of really cool things going on, but whereas some of the later stuff feels a little bit more like he was really confident in how to get the most out of every song, this album has the gift of being more experimental in a lot of ways. But also, there's a few songs that I think work better than others. This, to me, though, is one of those more high energy songs that seem to be really effective on this album, where it's just kind of like really bouncing along. He loves doing that thing where it can be anything, but sometimes it'd be all the instruments, sometimes it'd just be like the guitar or something, or the drums, where something just stops and then starts again, or just a quick stop-start. He likes putting in those little breaks. It just kind of gives you that, keeps you awake, keeps you focused, stops you just getting into a trance like headbang. It actually keeps you paying attention, keeps you really alert to what the song's doing. Love that. Again, it's got the Mrs. Green Apple thing of having all of the instruments beautifully arranged. The piano is gorgeous. Love that the piano goes up nice and high, so it really adds a lot of colour, a lot of brightness to the sound. The guitars, as always, very interesting here, doing what I think has been the case in a lot of the more rocky songs from this album, and having a mixture of some simple picking and some strumming, but again, adds a bit of colour hearing them playing off against each other. The drum line in this is great as always. I think the drummer, I keep on saying it, she's really good and she's on point in this. Really enjoyed in the verse that sort of little double snare tap she was doing. It's a fairly conventional beat, but just beautifully used in this song. There's just a lot of simple, maybe familiar techniques used really well here, but the thing which is great is that this comes together in a super effective, punchy, catchy chorus. I love the fact that it is call and answer, but rather than being call and answer where lead vocal, then backing vocal, or lead vocal, then audience, crowd, this one's one where it's like crowd or backing vocal, then lead vocal replies. Of course, it's not like this is the first time that's ever been done, but it's something that, it's a really nice way to do a chorus. It's something that you don't hear as often, and I really enjoy the fact that the chorus starts that way. And again, I'd really like to see them do this live. Now, the ending is interesting because, as I mentioned, I figured that might have been a bridge, but actually it turned out to just be the ending. And this makes a nice contrast to what I was saying earlier about the song number 7, which I also very much enjoyed. I really liked that song, but I thought the ending there felt a little bit weird because it kind of felt like the song slowed down, but it wasn't really clear why. And yes, it was evoking a bit of a Matsuri kind of sound, but just regardless of what the intent was, that song was one where the twist at the ending just felt like it didn't really work for me. The twist at the end, I really enjoyed that song otherwise. The twist at the end of this song, I think, works perfectly. Even though I was initially expecting it to be a bridge and to go back into the last chorus, in actuality, this kind of did what I said, kind of the thing I was saying about number 7, which is that if you're going to have a sudden change at the end of the song, which is going to play you all the way out, then it can't just be a slowing of the tempo. It's got to really feel like it's coming for a reason. So either the song suddenly goes much louder and heavier, or the song goes much more chilled and you end on a delicate note. And this kind of did that. This went much more chilled, much more delicate. It slowed down, the rhythm changed, and it was like, okay, the main part of the song's over, and this is kind of like the titles at the end of the film. We're just, so yeah, and this is the way we're going to play you out. This is the little last taste we're going to leave on the end of the song, which is going to be quite different, and therefore, you can actually feel like it's a proper conclusion to the song. So I did like the structure of this. I liked the fact that the ending went in a different direction, but succeeded in making it feel intentional, really sort of giving a sense of purpose to that final part of the song. And just the chorus is a general catchy song, benefits from a lot of the typical Mrs. Green Apple things we're used to. This was just straight up an enjoyable song. I really, really like this one. In fact, it's so catchy that I think this might be the catchiest song I've heard on this album. It might be one of the catchiest Mrs. Green Apple songs outright, because I get the feeling already this is going to get stuck in my head. I already got that. Whoa. That was out of tune. You know what I mean? I got that stuck in my head. You don't need me to sing it. You've got it stuck in your head as well, probably. Whoa, whoa, whoa to you too. Anyway, those are my thoughts. As always, get in the comments. Tell me what you think. And of course, the next song is the last one on the album. Shoku ni Ota. I'm looking forward to hearing that. And then after that, I'm looking forward to the next album. But hey, there you go. Those are my thoughts. Like I say, get in the comments. Tell me what you think. And until I hopefully see you very soon for the next one of these. I've run out of coffee. For now. Ciao, ciao.